this challenging route. It's another one of the events with Moonriders, and it's proven to be a pretty popular format in that the whole event is based upon the 5 best. It's another one of the 5 best events out of the 7. So if you do happen to miss 1 or 2 of your races, you're not penalised too much. You can still compete for the overall GC, and they've got the golden jersey classification, which is an open category, silver jersey, which is restricted to those riders rated silver or bronze in the RGTDB classification system, and the green jersey for the sprint stages, which is stages 1, 2 and 5. We're taking one of those sprints today, and the red jersey for the climbing stages, which is stages 3, 4 and 6. They're also doing a team classification for this event, which is something that's new for the Moonriders tours, but it's proving that teams are quite popular on RGT. Helps people to get to know each other, to get to bond over shared pain. Can be fun doing these events as a team. Just spotting the no pins jersey there in the event. As whoa, we're underway. John Beams flying off at the front there. The pedalers. And who's that with him? Moss and Rocket Roy Neal, OTR there just behind him. They're not wearing the OTR jersey there though. I think they're in a mixed team tonight for the Southborough District Wheelers. Green goes forward there, and Doug Hart. Doug also in the pedalers. Henrik Mard. Strong team showing here for the pedalers tonight. Spin the camera around as John Beams takes position on the front. John Beams, tremendously strong rider. See the pack being stretched out already. Rocket Roy there, making his presence felt. And Anders Jonsson, I think it is, just further back in the field there, showing up under the Swedish flag. Lennox, the Wouter Claes is in the mix. Rob Miller, Team 3R. Names up. There's Henry Farrell there of Moonriders as well. Tim Cook, 3R. A little bit of bopping and changing on the front here. This is a very fast course. Expect this to be held together till near the end. Postino pushes on at the front there. So the race has already taken place in the Pacific time zone, with Paul Newton taking the points win there, and Carl Axel Zander, who's also of RGT Suite, and Henrik Oberg, again RGT Suite spot, taking the remaining places on the podium. 190, 180 points. A lot of known names down in that. Moonriders, by the way, are looking for members. If you're interested in getting involved with the team, getting involved with events, then join up with the Moonriders. Get yourselves part of the team. And I think pretty much all together. We're going to drop back and see who's been left on the line. I think probably that's my bot who's been left back there. But I think this is a massive group here. There's a little bit of a break in the group. Sorry about this camera work. Flying all the way back through here. Lungfist. Alex Plager there, the Ratio Racing. Daniel Schock. Simon's in there. Anton Wouters. Tim Cook. See. Silver. It's been dropped slightly off that front group. See how far he is off the group there. He's fighting valiantly to get back there, but you can see where his power dropped, gone down from 382 to 0. Possibly he's had a power drop out there, and perhaps a brief internet drop, or even a chain drop. He's pushing at 4.6, 4.8 watt per kilogram now to try and jump on, but that's a big pack. Lots of drafting going on in that pack up in front. It'd be very difficult for him to get back on. Snova there, who's at the back of the group, and Anton Wouters, 8.6 watts per kilogram for Snova there, trying to keep on the back of that group. I think it's unlikely that Silva is going to get back to them. IK is just been dropped off the front of that group, is falling back to Silva. So we'll drop back with Edenius. RGT Sweden. I thought it was Sweet Spot. It's RGT Sweden. Sunnival, Laser, Gabe, Court there, the Court. There's another Laser there, just jumping back onto that group. Got a big group at the back here. Mitski, Ulysses, Martinu, Skuderak, and the Moonrider riders. Sedna, Tartaruga, and we drop back to Silva. Penguin, Steen, and Boniver. Boniver is taking part in a lot of the PRT handicap races, which I cover on the Thursday evenings. There's Matthias Fishback there. It's good to see Matthias taking part in the event. Then we've got Bailey and Elliott. Big Chungus, Marino, Piotr, Arejo, and then we've got Pulga and Guzarov there, who possibly have just a bit of a late start. The MS camera keeping me company. Then we've got Roche. I've got a few more ZMS cameras in there. And Roz. I think that's the last of the live riders. 90 riders there, a few camera riders there, so probably about 80, 84 in the event, live riders. Going to go back up to the front of the event. Check what's happening at the front. As we see, Alex Plager has made a break off the front there, like 8 meters gap. Alex Plager, Rasio Racing. They've been doing some pop-up events again just recently. Tomasz Poniatowski on the front there. Henrik Mard, still a bit of a melee going on now. Klingenberg, Wahula Cole there. It's good to see Wahula Cole coming across. They've come across taking part in some of the events, but they've also set up some of their own events now on Saturdays, I think. There are a few more of the hardened Zwifters, I would say, that are coming across to the RGT events in a little bit more numbers. Yeah, just if you are on YouTube, feel free to drop us a message if you want to focus in on any of the riders, see how any of them are getting on. Have a shout out for any of your mates that are racing in this event. See, it's just stringing out a little bit now. There's a front group just trying to make a bit of a gap. Group of about 8 breaking off at the front there. You see the South Downs wheelers there. trying to bring it back together. Oh, just with Alex Plager there. Alex not displaying heart rate data at the moment. There's a few things being mentioned in general chats really about competitive racing. It is something that's being raised in many of the forums, or it constantly is being raised in the forums, about how you can keep the racing competitive. And on the RGT platform there is one of the things that's called eBio Passport, where you can go and you can log a weight transparency video, and you can also allow people to see information about your Strava profile, and you can do things like dual recording on there, so you can show from both your turbo or your rollers and a separate power meter that they're both going to be showing the same, which, you know, everything can be cheated, but it does add an extra layer of transparency and allow people to see that you are doing. You can do out on the road basically what you're doing virtually in the platform. Jumping in there with Team Moss, just making a bit of a move up the inside there. So someone was saying the other day on one of the forums on Facebook users group that they felt that the animations in Zwift were a little bit more avatar animations in Zwift were a little bit more realistic than they are in RGT, and it got me to thinking. And you can see there some of the avatars just drifting through each other. They move sometimes a little bit jerkily, and I think possibly what's happening in Zwift, because they don't use the same server-side drafting dynamics that RGT does, and they're effectively at their own free will. They can move riders around whenever they want to, because they don't have to show that they're in the draft, because the drafting is fuzzy. So I think basically that they might have a little bit of an advantage in that manner, in that they can be a little bit more decorative in how they move riders around, because they're not reliant on the actual drafting that's happening on the screen. As we see Henrik Mard now just pushing off with Calgagny, forced to close that down, and Wouter Klaes makes a move up the middle of the road as Henrik Mard eases. Wouter Klaes taking Daniel Schock with him. Daniel Schock straight over the top of him and carries on going. Just starting to live up now as this field's being thinned out. We're down to around about 30, 33 in this group, I think. From what was a group of the entire field earlier on. We're only just over 9 kilometers into the race, and see that Stino now just putting a push in on the front there, opening a gap up. Riders having to make these little micro efforts to close these attacks down. And one of my constant things in virtual cycling is that it's very hard to communicate with your fellow riders on the road. You know, you don't have this open Discord. You have the chat that goes on screen, but when you're riding on the limit, it's hard to pick up your phone and type out a message without getting it full of sweat and typing gibberish. So sometimes you can get an effort by somebody who's got a good FTP and can hold it, and it can just stick. They only have to open up a small gap and they're away, because the riders behind them don't work as a unit together. They're not communicating with each other. They can't look over and give each other a little bit of a nudge and say, you know what, we'll close this down, we'll have the battle later on ourselves. And a rider who makes that small break can just hold it and keep away. Justino still on the front there, as we see Francois Eicher come through to the front. And I think that's just more of a mistimed drafting effort. Felt like he was dropping off a little bit, and he's gone through and off the front there, or he just wanted his name mentioned. As John Beams comes through onto the front. John Beams of the Pedalers team. Pedalers. Not seen. Has anybody seen Christophe Contant? Is Christophe Contant racing today? Does anyone know? Has he already raced in one of the other time zones? We've got a little group of 3 now. Van der Berg jumped up to this group. Oh, Wendy Gallagher's just shouted out, go Karen and Lydia in the Galaxy girls team. So I didn't spot them. If you can message in, Wendy, with Karen and Lydia's second names, just if I can find them on the stream, I'll pick them out for a little bit of airtime. Alex Plager's pushing off the front again into the red zone, 6.2 watts per kilogram. Postino on his wheel still, but he's gradually dropping him. Alex Plager off and away at the front now. Drafting benefit that Cal Gagny will be receiving now, as we see Doug Hart. He's wise to that danger, and he's come through and over the top. Cal Gagny, Alex Plager just easing off now slightly. Enjoying a little bit of a draft. There's a small group of 4 at the front here, but the rampaging pack trying to close them down now. Wouter Klaes. One would suspect that Wouter is the favoured rider for the Moonriders team. He's been very dynamic in all the races that he's took part in this year. He's been very successful as well. It's Francois Eicher once more up onto the front, and he's through and off at the front. Henrik Mard. There was some chat on the Discord today that mentioned Henrik and the strength that the Pedalers team had in this event. It's Karen Bailey and Lydia Godfrey. So keep your eyes open on the stream, guys. We'll drop back in a moment. I don't think I've seen them in this group. Klingenberg, Wahula Cole there. Front, Wouter Klaes, Faustino still there, powering away. He's putting a lot of time on this front now. Faustino's heart rate quite low there, 115. Quite a low cadence too for the amount of power that he's putting out. The cadence is very individual. Perhaps got a little bit of an issue with his heart rate monitor there, because his heart rate's not really fluctuating at 115. It's sticking pretty solid there. I know I've had that happen myself when my heart rate monitor has frozen on me. I'm going to drop back in a moment through the field, see who else is who else is about in this event. I like to just drop back in before we get too far into the race, so we can give everyone a shout out. So we've got Roche. We got Roz there, 88th position. And Roche in 85th. And Pulga. And with Marino just chasing onto Araujo's wheel there. Piotra. And with Stevens of the Moonriders, an issue there. They've stepped off the bike. And then we've Bailey, Elliott, Matthias Fishback, Big Chungus. I think this is Karen Bailey. And they're wearing the Canyon Esports top there. So I have to keep an eye out for their teammate. Lydia Godfrey. They're on the wheel of Matthias Fishback there as Matthias just puts in an effort. And it's just exploded a bit in this group once we've covered them. With Bailey now trying to recover as Matthias Fishback putting an effort there. It's just lit this group up. Big Chungus off the front there as well. Bailey going into the red trying to get some wheels to chase. Back up to the wheel of Elliott, Big Chungus. Matthias Fishback just off the front of this group slightly. And this group looks like they're going to come back together. A group of 4 working together to bring back in Matthias Fishback there. I see Boniver and Van der Steen working together as a pair. They're going to be probably working together till the end of this race, I think. Big gap up 440 to Tartaruga up in front, and Big Chungus in that group nearly 600 meters behind. And then we've got Silver, Court, Penguin, Tartaruga together. And they've a 100-meter gap to the next group on the road, which is Laser. And Laser looks like he's just dropped off the back of the group in front. Was just with the wheel of Maria a moment ago. And they've just eased. They're falling back now. You can see they're dropping back to the group behind them of Silver and Penguin. Maria probably going to drop back as well as IK solo riding at the moment, 400 meters ahead of IK, but 400 meters ahead of Maria. Alves in the distance. And Ulysses just in front of them. I don't think I've spotted Godfrey yet. And then we have a big group now on the road. All the RGT Sweden riders in here. Anton Wouters, Snova, Sedna, Timo Ackenbach, one of the Moonriders, one of the organisers of this event. Anton Wouters, another regular of the PRT Thursday handicap races. Seeing a bit of a flow there up on the right hand side as we jump forward a group. Got Lennox, Yeem, Rizicek, Librex, Cabramanca, Vieira, Simon Miller, SDW, Van Horenbach, Izator, another of the Moonriders, and Poniatowski of the Moonriders, Mike Wareham. So there's a strong showing for the Moonriders in this group. Vieira, Walker, OTR there. And then we've got Zapata riding solo at the moment. But I think they're going to get closed down by that group. They've totally eased off on the power. And we've Silva catching to the wheel of Julian Fussell, SDW. He jumps on for the ride. Silva's been pushing strongly since he got dropped down that front group. Not too far to go till they catch up with Bird on. And then we're back up with this battling group at the front. Alex Plager just at the back of it at the moment. There's Barnett, who also wearing the SDW top. I'm not sure if he's in that team. I know it's a little bit of a mixed team for the SDW this year. They've picked up some riders from different clubs and built a team together. It's Barub's in the front. Vespa. Spania. John Beams and Pedalars pushing on the front there. So we just had a run through many of the riders as we could find there. Couldn't spot. Oh. Yeah, we missed Lydia Godfrey, but Wendy's just informed me that Lydia had missed the train, got in late, had Wi-Fi issues, and missed the start. So I don't think anything more could have gone wrong for her this day. But hopefully this can be one of the 2 races she can drop out of this 7 events, so it won't affect her hopes of a good position on the GC. Faustino once again pushes on the front of this group. Oh, John Beams just drifting back into the pack slightly, saving some energy as we come through underneath the halfway marker. And Calgagny goes off the front now. Calgagny pushing out 400 watts per kilogram. Got a high cadence up at 103 there. Spinning the wheels rapidly. Spinning the crank, should I say. And up in there. Red power zones as they go to an 8.69 watt per kilogram now. Trying to open up a gap on this group behind. There's a slight bit of elevation, a little bit of a lump here before we hit the only real hills, the only real elevations on the course. We're up at 10 watts per kilogram. You see the riders behind reacting to this lump as well, as Transfer goes up to 6 watts per kilogram there, and Lundqvist, RGT Sweden, 6.4 watts per kilogram. Now Calgagny's opened a big gap on the riders now. He's out 100 meters or more. As I was mentioning before, it is important when you're doing competitive racing really to have as much detail available for the race organisers, and know that Calgagny there is not wearing a heart rate monitor, so putting in a lot of effort, but it's hard to judge just how deep he's going to see how long he's going to be able to maintain this with a rampaging pack behind him. He's going through his power bands. did have 110 sign-ups for the event tonight. Not quite everyone can make it in. That's normal for an event. Always a few that have technical issues. Henrik Mard we spoke about quite a bit before. We're just going to drop back down now to the group behind. Henrik Mard in the Pedalairs team. We just picked him out there. He's got his power numbers up at 300 there. He's gold rank rider. He's riding a Wahoo V5. And he's just had a good result in the Beat the Pros Tour of Basque Country. And regularly rides in a number of the OTR events. In second position in the Tour of Denmark Stage 4. He's just recently been improving his RGT DB standings. You see him putting in an effort on this now. 4.65 degree slope. Henrik Mard leading the pack. Cal Gagny now is up at 10.6 watts per kilogram. Pushing out at the front. Moss comes through. Go for an aerial shot just to see how much this is stretching out the field now. This little bit of elevation. And that group of 30 really exploded. And there's Jonsson from RGT Sweden there. Arub drifting back now. Cal Gagny's made it over the next climb. 370 meter gap. Solo TT for him now to the finish line. Now we see there's a big gap opened up to the next group on the road now. Very quickly with that little lump. Only takes a moment of concentration loss to lose the wheel in front, and you're going from drafting and saving 100, 200 watts to needing to put in an extra 200 watts to get back. As Alex Plager puts in an effort now. Alex Plager up at 8 watts per kilogram with vCycling going on his wheel. Simons chasing. Lundqvist seeing the danger too, and Cook going for it now as well. Henrik Mard just measuring his efforts in 8th position there. Doug Hart, vCycling. Goes through 2nd position. Immediately Doug Hart responding. Vespa, Moss, and there's a small group of riders just getting back now as Rocket Roy Neal's pushing incredibly hard to get back to the wheels now and have a little breather. May have just eased up slightly too early there. I know he's back into the group. That's fantastic riding by Roy Neal there. Roy just maybe just a little bit more of an effort just to get yourself safely back into that drafting. Lundqvist moves up into 2nd position. Igniting once again at the front. Lorenzo Simon's still a silver rider, I think. He's been very well in the Moonriders events. Copenhagen now settled down slightly, 6 watts per kilogram, but enjoying a 320 meter lead over the rest of the field. .5 watts per kilogram, 8 watts per kilogram. Copenhagen, it's only the second race on this platform. There isn't much to say. That they finished 8th in the Runda and 21st in the Vive la Femmes. Runda is a virtue slow arranged event won by David Blodgett. Races on Restart Racing. Copenhagen clear 470 meters now. And drop back to the groups. A little bit more interesting in the racing group rather than watching one rider flying off in the front. This group's being broken up by a number of hard accelerations as Wouter Klaes runs through and into the front now. I think we're down to around about 14, maybe 15 riders in this group now. Arub, who was falling back on those climbs, has got himself a bit more secure in the group. And Espana in 5th position there. If you are watching on YouTube, please do hit that like and subscribe button as Plager makes an attack off the front. 4.8 watts per kilogram. Opens up a gap straight away, 23 meters. Cohan trying to chase. Simons is the one doing the work now, and Play just shuts it down. And Simons, Wouter Klaes runs through and over the top. Spanier there with him. Van der Peer. Next Play drops back. Not seeing too many of the Ratio Racing guys in this event. As I say, Ratio Racing doing some pop-up racing events at the moment, just to fill in the slots that are usually run by some of the other event creators that are having breaks maybe at the moment. And it was last year that we did some coverage for the Ratio Racing events, and you could really see when they were doing team tactics and really showing how it works on RGT. Wouter Klaes at the front of the group at the moment. Simons comes through. pushes off the front. Now these gaps opening up now, and it's taking just a little bit longer every time for one of the riders to react and close it down. Seeing Vespa come through and off the front. Oh, it's Van der Peer, my mistake. And Moss, Southbury District Wheelers on the front there. Pushing the pace. So we've got a little bit of time now. This group's thin now. We're going to just drop back. See how some of the other groups are forming on it. Well, as Simons just makes a massive attack there with Van der Peer, who's in the same team kit as himself, jumps onto the wheel, and they're both going for it. 10 watts per kilogram for Simons there, towing Van der Peer. Van der Peer easing off, just enjoying the draft. Simons continues pushing. Van der Peer jumps back on. Doug Hart, seeing the danger, is chasing, and Wouter Claes, 10.5 watts per kilogram for Wouter Claes. Wouter comes around the outside and continues pushing. Wouter on the front of this group. Once again, everything turns into a long, thin line. Riders just momentarily being caught out. Henrik Mard just gapped 2 Southbury District Wheelers, fighting to get back on, and we are now a smaller group once again. That's Moss, the last of the Southbury District Wheelers, getting onto the group there, and we're down to 12 in this group. Moss still just struggling to find a wheel there. And Vespa, Barub, distanced. I very much doubt they'll chase back on from this. That front group is still putting in some efforts. Kahan, Barub. Simons on the front of this group, just edging the pace, just challenging everybody a little bit. With 8 kilometers left to go. Rolling at about 40 kilometers per hour. Henrik Mard rolling through into the front. Just a gentle pressure. Wouter Claes, Alex Plager. Reacting to every attack. Again, just strings out slightly. Tim Cook caught on the wrong side of the road there. Wouter just continues winding it up. Not going too deep. Barnett, DW, 2 of their riders still left in this group. We've got a fairly decent gapping back to the groups down further on the road, so we will go back in a little while and give those guys some air time. As Alex Plager fires through and off the front. Alex putting in a phenomenal effort now. 6 watts per kilogram. Simon's responding. Simon's Van der Peer Alex Plager just easing slightly down there. You can see the power bar just underneath the rider's name. That changes colour in relation to the power and FTP. So it's whether they're above their FTP. The red efforts are above FTP as Doug Hart goes through the front. Alex Plager still not easing. He's just keeping it on the cusp. Henrik Mard pushes to the wheel of Doug Hart. And Henrik goes over the top, carries on going. Doug Hart, I've watched race several times. Doug is a phenomenally reactive rider. He's able to put in efforts and ease and then come back and go again. It must be an absolute nightmare to race in a crit against. Wutzer still second wheel in this group. Spania takes the front of this group. We have got a gap of 630 meters to Algagny. It's unlikely he's going to get caught. Eased slightly, 5.5 kilometers remaining. And we've got some slight climbs coming up in the later part of this course. We're at 40 kilometers per hour. Henrik Mard keeping tempo on the front. More gap open there as Espana moves to his wheel. Alex Plager closing it down. Van der Peer quick to respond to that as well. Van der Peer comes through. Doug Hart attacks. Doug Hart, 8.5 watts per kilogram. Van der Peer, Woods Claes Espana, Tim Cook, all responding to it. Woods Claes comes through over the top and continues applying the power. Alex Plager into that deep red, that neuromuscular there for a moment, a bright red. Place over the top. They're not easing, these lads at the front. They keep on applying this pressure, rotating, forcing the riders behind. They're struggling slightly to go into their deep red. Power bars. Lorenzo Simons there. Woods Claes just eases off the pace a little bit. And Cook secures himself position near the front of the group. 4 kilometers remaining. Waiting for the next round of power to be unleashed. The next Watt bomb to be dropped. So we've got numbers in this group. We've got 2 riders that look like they're riding for the same team, which is Van der Peer and Simons. And we've got 2 riders for the Pedalers. We've still got 2 riders for Southborough District Wheelers. And we've got Wouter Claes, Espana, and I think it's Alex Plager, who are all solo riders at the moment in this group now. Quite often there are Discord groups for the teams going on. They'll be discussing team tactics all the time. I know down the pedalers are talking to each other, letting each other know when they're going to make a break. Copenhagen on the front of this race hits that first climb. His power shoots up to 9 watts per kilogram, but this is where the interest is in this race. Just at the base of this climb now. 0.7 degrees. Just adding a little bit of pressure to the riders. Cook comes up the outside. Sure he's with this front group. Henrik Mard pushes. Continues pushing. Doug Hart goes with him. Wouter Claes, Alex Plager, Tim Cook all responding. Barnett up at 12.5 watts per kilogram there. Espana suffering on this slight climb. Van der Peer dropping out of the back of this group. His drafting benefit diminishing all the time. He's down at 14 watts drafting benefit. Whereas the rider in front of him there, Moss, saving 115 watts now. Sticking into the wheel of Barnett. Moss and Barnett there, the SDW riders. Been battling hard to stay with this group as Moss now, his little gap open up in front of him. His drafting diminishes down to 0. He's going deep to recover the group, and he does. He gets back. Espana is doing so. They're over the top of this climb. Small groups, small gaps opened up to Wouter there. As Espana goes now. Espana puts in a little dig. 4.6 watts per kilogram. Espana goes again. Just toying with the front of this group. Pushes again. Doug Hart goes with him. And a gap's opened up. Just if you look for the avatars and look when their head twists to the side, that's when the riders are using the look behind feature, and that's when they're checking how much of a gap they managed to open up on the group behind. Seeing who's responded is Espana is going once again, 7.7 watts per kilogram. We see the Flamme Rouge. Espana continue pulling. Wouter Claes comes up. Espana 7.5 watts per kilogram. And Copenhagen is going to be finishing this race 425 meters in front of the rampaging pack. He's eased. Only 300 meters left to go. Going to drop back again. Espana opened a gap 17 meters over Doug Hart. He's gone very early. Doug Hart shut down the power for a moment there. Wouter Claes comes through to the front of this group. Espana still 8.1 watts per kilogram. 460 meters to go. He's got 26 meters on the group. Heart rate's creeping up. Espana 168 beats per minute. 7.3 watts per kilogram, and he's opened up a gap of 60 meters now on the group behind. Copenhagen is finished. Espana 70 meters left to go. As Wouter Claes opens up behind Alex Plager, Henrik Mard. Alex Plager being chased down by Wouter Claes. Oh, it's too close to call. Espana came through in second. Wouter Claes, Alex Plager, Timos, Henrik Mard, D. Hart, Barnett, Simons, and then Tim Cook. We see Silva now. Van der Peer, who was in that front group, he must have stopped dead. He's dropped back here now to Silva, and he just takes Silva on the line. Faustino, who was doing so much of the early running, comes through the Vesper. Then Henry Fowl, Barube, Rocket Roy Neild, And then it's Lundqvist, Kojan and John Beams. See Rob Miller with Van der Berg now. Rob Miller, 530 metres to go. Rob Miller, Team 3R. Stretching his leg, Van der Berg coming through. Van der Berg pushing hard to get back to the wheel, Rob Miller. Rob Miller, 260 metres left to go. Van der Berg benefiting from the drafting here. Drop back to Van der Berg there. He's got a 40 watt drafting advantage as he goes. Van der Berg's going now. Van der Berg's pushing on. Rob Miller just misjudged there, I think there, or perhaps he's given up. Van der Berg comes through. 21st position, Rob Miller. I say it's Rob Miller, it might be Ryan Miller. Forgive me if it's Ryan, my apologies. 22nd position, Daniel Schott, the Moonriders. Confidence Daniel comes through in 23rd position. He's hard. And we've got Daniel Neuboer of the Pedalers coming through in 24th with a group behind him chasing hard. Peter Austin there going, pushing for it. Anders Jonsson just missed out there as Julian Fussell comes through the line. Francois Riker and then Burden, another of the SDW riders. Cabramanca 30th position with Lennox and Isator. 1.5 kilometers remaining, but they're battling now. Slight descent. Or it climbs again. All the riders easing. It's a long way to go with a slight incline this. Come under the Flamme Rouge. See the crew behind, Thomas Poniatowski, another Moonriders riders, and Stenson, Team 3R. They're going deep into the red power bars to try and catch this group in front, but Cabramanca, Lennox and Isator not looking like they're going to get caught. Cabramanca on the front of this small group, opening up a little gap back to Isator, but Isator is pushing now. Lennox, Isator, Cabramanca. Cabramanca just 7 meters clear of Isator. Isator's got a higher watts per kilogram though, he's pushing now. 415 meters left to go. Less, 350. Lennox probably in the best position for attack now. Enjoying the biggest drafting benefit. Cabramanca just towing the power of them. 150 meters to go. Cabramanca slightly gapping them. Isator digging deep. 7.5, 8.5 watts per kilogram. Cabramanca 13 meters clear. Cabramanca over the line first, followed by Isator, and Lennox not able to make the most of that drafting benefit. Poniatowski attacks on the group behind. Takes Walker, Miller, Oystenson, and Krajowski. Vieira and Geem. Vieira comfortably over the line. Geem 39th position. And Sneva, Edenius, Wareham, Caruso, Timo Achenbach, Librex, Mixi. Razuchek clear of Van Harenbach and CM. Van Harenbach putting a little bit of a sprint there to distance CM. CM coming over in 50th position. Imai. Daniel Mai over in 51st position. And then we're filling group now. Up here, Senna, Sunnaval, Gabe. 310 meters to go. Martino goes early. Martino with 200 meters left to go has made a big jump and distanced the pack. Sedna's chasing. And then Sunnaval and Gabe. Senna, Sunnaval and Gabe behind as Martino. 30 meters to go. Nobody's going to catch him. Senna's clear. Then Sunnaval. Gabe. And they all got the drop, and Apio there just rolls over the line. Anton Wouters. Went to the line in 58th position. $100 meters left to go. So keeping our eyes open for Karen Bailey to see how Karen's fared for the Galaxy Girls team. As Anton Wouters comes over the line. And Ulysses, it's just under a kilometre remaining. So for those still watching, we are VCN, vCycling News. We are looking to cover all of the Moonriders Return of the Hero events. We have got quite a few events coming up at the moment. So the VCN Championships are taking place over this weekend, the Nationals this weekend, and the Worlds next weekend. I hope you'll tune in to the YouTube channel to check those out. And maybe even take part. You know, you might have it in the legs. It's national championships are up for victory this week. But if you follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel, you get to see and hear about all the different events that we're doing. And we do try and do a little bit of features as well. And we work with different race promoters to bring you coverage of their events. And also things like the REAC training, which is going on tonight on the Facebook group and also on YouTube as well. To try and just bring you something a little bit different. You can join in with the REAC training events online and on RGT. There's Ulysses coming over the line, which are coached events. Keyboard decides that it's not going to work. Come back to Alves. For that flicking about there, there's a Momentary pause in the responsiveness there. Not sure if it was my keyboard or the software, as Alves comes to the line in 60th position. And Silva making way for Tartaruga behind him, but Tartaruga's being chased down by IK and Penguin. And Silva comes up to the line. Comes up to the Flamme Rouge, my apologies. He's got 950 metres left to go to the line. And Tartaruga's being chased down very aggressively by Penguin and IK behind. I think Silva has just dropped him. Yeah, as I was saying a moment ago, we are running RIAC, running the training events which you can take part in. There's a group ride on Monday evenings. She goes through different training techniques. There's a big thing on hydration this Monday, which you can watch back on the YouTube channel. Then on the Tuesday evening, there's a strength and conditioning workout, which I'm not afraid to say that I need to do more work off the bike than I do on it. Well, I need to do some work on it at the moment as well, but I think we all need to do a little bit more work off the bike than we do on it. Very easy to jump on the bike and go for a ride and forget about all the exercises that you should really be doing around it. And then on Wednesdays there's a workout, which is a hard workout on RGT. They're all coached, live coach sessions. Richard coaches them live, and jump in, have some fun, get stronger, and learn some more about the physics and how RGT works and how you can make yourself a better athlete. See Silva coming over the line now, 61st position. $90 meters to go as Penguin, Tartaruga have come through. They're battling hard behind. Silva keeps pushing to the line. He's over the line. Tartaruga now pushing to drop Penguin. Tartaruga upping it to 7.1 watts per kilogram on this final section. Penguin comes through. And IK just slightly off the power. In 64th position. Van der Steen 65th, 180 meters clear of court. $500 meters left to race. There's Van der Steen. Goes up to the line now. Last sprint. Brought back to the court. And we have Gusarov. I think Gusarov was racing with a group of riders behind the Matthias Fishback and Karen Bailey, and it looks like he's managed to very few of them. He's got a 440 meter gap on that small group behind, and Big Chungus, who was with that group as well, he's dropped further behind. He's He's 1.53 kilometers behind a group of Guzarov. Guzarov puts out 6.3 watts per kilogram now with only 40 meters left to go to the line. There's Fishback there, 68th position with Karen Bailey, who's tucked in on the wheel. Mateus putting an effort now at 300 meters to go. Bailey responds. Bailey in the better position there, benefiting from the drafting. They're saving 150 watts at the moment off Mateus's wheel. Only 180 meters left to go. Mateus pushes now on this slight incline, 5%. The drafting benefit for Bailey's dropped there. There's power just fluctuating somewhat. Bailey comes through over the top. 60 meters left to go. Can Mateus respond? Karen Bailey keeps on applying the power, opens a gap there and just pips Mateus to the line. Big Chungus emptying the tank now on this last section. 800 meters left to go. Clear of the nearest challenger, Elliott, still a good distance away. Big Chungus keeps on pushing. 530 meters left to go. A lot of these events are made possible by the Magic Roads feature in RGT, which enables you to bring in a GPX, which is basically a number of dots on a map, and create a road from that. And these GPXs can be imported from your Cycle computer. They can be created in a number of apps like Strava, Commute, Ride with GPS, and you can draw a route from all over the world and bring it into RGT and make an event out of it. It is a feature that's only available to the premium subscribers, but if you know a premium subscriber who's created an event, then you can join that without being a premium rider. Big Chungus comes over the line. Elliott on the road now. 750 meters to go. Bon Iver not too far behind. Elliott now pushing 176 watts of power there. Cadence at 80. Alright, 55. Steady. If you just want to jump into a race on RGT, you can jump into a race to try out a different road. Try something different. If you're not enjoying the roads that are available to you on the free option, you can jump into a race or a group ride on one of the other roads and ride them that way without having to pay for premium, but it does limit you to only being able to ride those roads when there's an event occurring on them. Elliott comes up to the line now, 130 meters remaining. emptying the tank now. This last section, 2.9% gradient. I'm over the line at a time of 1 hour 14 minutes as we go back to Bon Iver. Bon Iver just illustrating the look behind feature there. They can see Rojo behind them. And Bon Iver has in brackets next to their name there M69. So you'll notice quite a few of the riders have something behind their names, beside their names. Quite often this will be some letters, and the letters generally denote their team that they're riding for. So we had the pedalers. John Beams had PDL by the sound of his name this evening, which was for the pedalers. We've seen OTR in this event as well, but in this instance the M69 I would suspect refers to the fact that Bon Iver is a male and they are 69 years of age. So in some of the races there are classifications for male, female riders and for age based riding as well. See Bon Iver there, very keen to keep Rojo behind them. Rojo's closed the gap somewhat down to 40 meters. Bon Iver has only got 50 meters left to go to the line, so very unlikely that Rojo is going to catch them. Well, Bon Iver has slowed significantly just as I'm saying that, teasing perhaps. And they cross the line. Rojo 73rd position. And then we drop back to Pulgar on the road. Pulgar riding the 8-bar vCycling. Some of you riders may have tried out the Tempelhof circuit on RGT, and Tempelhof is, or was originally named 8-bar. It's on the land that forms the Tempelhof airport, which is now a closed airport. It was at one time the biggest commercial airport, I think, in the world, if not the world, definitely Europe. Now been turned into a museum, and on Tempelhof there's a number of events that take part. They've had some of the e-racing car events take part there. I think Top Gear's been there before now, but they also host the biggest fixed gear cycle race in the world, which is 8-bar, the 8-bar crit, and that takes part there. So originally, whenever the course was inducted into the Real Road Library of RGT, I think the RGT had got some agreement with 8-bar. They were doing an event with them, and it was called for a period 8-bar, and eventually the name got changed over to Tempelhof Airport, which is the actual name of the property, the name of the building. See Pulgar now is pushing out 3.1 watts per kilogram. In the top left hand corner you can see their total power is 180, 175 there. Roughly work out their weight to being around about 60 kilograms. The watts per kilogram is only really a useful metric when you're going uphill, because your weight affects you when you're going uphill. On the flats, watts per kilogram is not a great metric. You're better off looking at a rider's overall power. On a course like this, the raw power of a rider would have been much more important than the watts per kilogram. A heavier rider would generally have succeeded and done better on a course like this tonight than a lighter rider. Lighter riders, watts per kilogram, their weight is more of an effect when they're going uphill, so they'll benefit more with more elevation in the courses, but this was one of the sprinter stages tonight. So we've got event for Moonriders tomorrow night and Wednesday night. Moonriders are running this event in 3 different time zones. It takes part in Pacific time zones, the European time zones, and also the Americas time zones. So if you've missed out on an event, if you couldn't get into an event, there's also a possibility you could jump into one of the other time zones. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head if you can compete for the jerseys across multiple time zones. I think you have to accrue your points in the same time zone. I don't think you could jump from, say, the Pacific time zone to the European time zone or vice versa. I think you need to accrue the points in the same one. So worth checking that out if you're looking at that. Your day may force you to take part in different time zones. So just drifting back to the Magic Roads point I was chatting about earlier on. This is a road that's created by the GPX. All of the scenery that you see around is synthetic. It's been made up by the computer, which is one of the reasons why for Magic Roads you need slightly higher spec than you do for some of the other, for the real roads. Because Magic Roads are created there and then on the computer, whereas the real roads, a lot of the elements are downloaded to the program, so they're not created, they're already there. This is all kind of thought about in the computer RAM. All the scenery that you see around you, all the signposts, all the trees are all positioned by the computer. They do take some cues by the GPX as to what the scenery should look like around it. And if you've ever rode in one of the Samir Dorlatley events, he's doing some just purely magical Magic Roads currently. Then you'll have seen just sort of what kind of things can be created by the Magic Roads platform, and sort of different things you can create. Pulling out, pushing on, 560 meters left to the finish line. If you're not already a member, there are some user groups for RGT. There's a number of groups that have sprung up in different languages around the RGT world. There's RGT Portugal, for instance, there's RGT France, but the main one is probably the RGT users group, which is an English speaking group mainly, but Google Translate and Facebook Translate's a fantastic bit of software. That means you get answers quite frequently to your questions, no matter what language you ask them in. And lots of events posted there. There is also an events group, and there's a dedicated Facebook support group on there as well. Pulga's just in this 5% section, slowing slightly. See the cadence dropping as there. Pushing that gear, get to that finish line. Always challenging to have a finish line on a climb. So Wendy Gallagher's just shining. Great work, Karen. Nice finish as we saw Karen Bailey coming over the finish line. So that's it for this evening stream. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'll just play you out with some movies.